The alien graveyard stretched across the land like a wound on the planet's skin. Broken towers of strange metal leaned at odd angles, their edges sharp as knives. Giant bones, too large to belong to any human creature, lay half buried in the dust. The sky above was a deep red, glowing faintly as if the sun itself was sick. A cold wind moved through the ruins, whistling between the hollow skeletons of ancient ships. This was not a place for the living. This was a place where only silence and shadows ruled. For centuries, no one dared to come here. The stories told of curses, of restless spirits that walked under the blood sky. But in the middle of this dead land, there was something alive. Hidden beneath a broken statue, a young alien girl lay motionless. Her skin was pale and faintly glowing like silver in the dark. Her eyes, large and bright, shimmered like two small moons. But her body did not move. She was paralyzed. She could not walk, could not raise her arms, could not even lift her head without pain. Only her eyes moved, watching the graveyard around her. Her family had brought her here. They had whispered to each other that she was weak, that she was useless. And so, they left her in this graveyard, as if the dead would accept her as one of their own. Hours had passed, maybe days. She did not know. She felt hunger, she felt thirst, but more than that, she felt fear. Every sound of the wind seemed like a monster crawling closer. Every shadow felt alive. She wanted to cry, but no tears came. She wanted to scream, but her voice was too weak. She was trapped in her own body, waiting for death to claim her. Yet deep inside, her eyes burned with something her family could not see. She was not weak. She was not useless. She was waiting. Far away, another sound broke the silence of the graveyard. It was the crunch of footsteps. Slow, heavy human footsteps. A fighter. Dur moved between the ruins, stepping carefully, scanning the ground with sharp eyes. This was a man, not alien, but human. His clothes were torn and patched from years of survival. His hands were rough, holding a long metal staff. His face was marked by scars, but his eyes were alive, alert, searching. He was a scavenger, a man who wandered through forbidden places to find alien relics. The graveyard was dangerous, but danger was his life. He came here to find technology, something valuable, something to sell. He did not come to save anyone. The man walked slowly past broken machines and fallen towers. He paused often, bending to check strange symbols carved into the ruins. The wind tugged at his cloak, carrying whispers through the empty air. He had heard stories of this place too, that the graveyard was cursed, that no one who entered ever returned. Yet here he was, because stories did not pay for food, relics did. As he walked deeper, he felt something strange, a pull, as if unseen eyes were watching him. He tightened his grip on his staff, his heart beat harder. He stopped, listening. For a moment, there was nothing but the wind. Then, he heard it, a faint sound. Not the cry of an animal, not the hum of broken machines. It was softer, almost human, almost a breath. He turned sharply. His eyes scanned the ruins. At first he saw nothing, only broken stone and metal. But then he saw it, a faint glow under the shadow of a fallen statue. His steps grew cautious as he approached. There, half hidden in the dust, he saw her, the alien girl. Her glowing eyes met his. They were wide, frightened, but also pleading. She could not move, but her gaze spoke louder than words. "Help me." The man froze. He had seen many strange things in his life, but never this. A living child in a place of death. He frowned, gripping his staff tighter. This was not his problem. He would leave now, pretend he never saw her. Yet something in her eyes held him in place. She looked at him as if he was the last light in her dark world. She did. Not blink, did not look away. The silence stretched between them. The man felt the weight of the graveyard pressing down on him, as if the dead themselves were waiting to see what he would do. A thought flickered in his mind. If her own people left her here, maybe she is cursed. Maybe she is dangerous. The stories of the graveyard whispered through his memory. But then another thought came. Or maybe she is just a child, alone, abandoned. The wind howled louder, carrying dust across the ruins. The man looked at her one last time, his jaw tight. He could turn back now and walk away. But if he did, her glowing eyes would haunt him forever. And so he stepped closer. The graveyard seemed to grow colder. The shadows seemed to lean in, curious, waiting. The girl's breath trembled. She did not know if this man would save her or abandon her. But for the first time since her family left, hope flickered in her heart. The man stood still, his eyes locked with hers. Dust swirled in the air between them, glowing faintly in the red light of the alien sky. For a long moment, neither moved. The girl could not, and the man would not. He had spent years surviving among the ruins of forgotten worlds. He had seen treasures of alien design, bones of giants, and machines that still whispered in the night. But never had he seen something like this, a living child abandoned in a graveyard of death. Her eyes were strange, glowing softly like twin moons. They carried both fear and hope, a silent cry for help. The man's heart tightened. He told himself not to feel anything. She is not my problem, he thought. She is alien. She is dangerous. But his feet refused to move away. Slowly he crouched closer, lowering his staff. The girl's breath trembled, shallow and weak. Her lips parted as if she wanted to speak, but no words came, only silence. He looked over her body and saw why. Her arms and legs lay stiff, twisted at odd angles. She was paralyzed, trapped inside her own flesh. The man frowned. This was no trap, no trick. She truly was helpless. For a moment he considered leaving. He had come here to scavenge, not to save. Every step he wasted could cost him his life. The graveyard was filled with hidden machines, guardians left by alien hands. Some were broken, but some were not. Danger was everywhere, and yet, he stayed. He reached into his cloak and pulled out a flask. Carefully, he tilted it toward her lips. At first, she turned her head weakly, unsure if it was safe. Then, with great effort, she opened her mouth and drank. The water slid down her throat, and for the first time in days, her body relaxed. Her glowing eyes blinked slowly, as if saying thank you. The man felt something shift inside him. He had built walls around his heart long ago. The universe was cruel, and kindness often ended in pain. But in her eyes, he saw a reflection of something he thought he had lost. Innocence. "Why did they leave you here?" he muttered, though he knew she could not answer. But in that silence, something happened. A faint whisper touched his mind, soft as a breath. Not a voice in his ears, but inside his thoughts. The words were broken, unclear, but he understood. Family. Gone. Weak. Left me. He froze, staring at her. "You can speak?" he whispered. Her lips did not move, her body did not stir. Yet again, the whisper brushed his mind. Not speak. Show. The man's blood ran cold. He had heard of alien telepathy, strange gifts hidden in forgotten bloodlines. But never this close, and never from a child. "Your family left you here to die," he said slowly. She blinked once. That was her answer. His jaw tightened. Anger flared inside him. Not at her, but at the thought of a family abandoning their own. He had seen cruelty before, but this, leaving a child paralyzed in a graveyard, this was beyond cruelty. The man reached under her shoulders and lifted her carefully. Her body was cold, lighter than he expected, yet heavy with the weight of her suffering. She winced in pain, but did not resist. For the first time, she was no longer lying in the dirt. He strapped her gently to his back with a worn piece of cloth, adjusting the knots so she would not fall. She rested her glowing eyes against his shoulder, weak but safe. The man looked around the graveyard. The air had changed. The silence felt heavier, as if unseen eyes had noticed what he had done. He tightened his grip on his staff. "You're not safe here," he murmured. "Neither of us are." He began to walk, each step slow and careful. The ruins seemed alive now, whispering in the wind. Every broken statue looked like a watcher, every shadow like a predator. The girl's mind brushed his again, softer this time. Danger. Awake. "What danger?" he whispered. Her glowing eyes flickered. She did not answer in words, only in feelings, a cold wave of fear. The man's heart beat faster. He knew this place too well. The graveyard was not empty. Machines, guardians, hunters. They often slept in silence, waiting for movement, waiting for trespassers. And now, carrying her, he was no longer just a scavenger. He was a target. Still he pressed on, stepping carefully over cracked stones and twisted metal. The girl remained quiet, but her eyes stayed wide, watching, warning. Behind them, something shifted in the ruins. A faint sound of metal scraping against stone. The man froze, his breath held. Slowly, he turned his head. In the shadows, a pair of red lights blinked to life, then another, and another, mechanical eyes waking from their long sleep. The girl's fear echoed in his mind like thunder. The man gritted his teeth. He adjusted the staff in his hand, his muscles tense. "So, they've found us," he muttered. The graveyard was no longer silent. It was waking up, and both the man and the girl were now trapped in its gaze. The man moved quickly now, his boots crunching against the gravel of the alien graveyard. On his back, the paralyzed girl clung to him, not with her arms, but with the knots of cloth he had tied. Her glowing eyes watched every shadow. She could not move, but she could feel. Behind them, the sound of metal grew louder. The guardians of the graveyard were awake. Machines built long ago by alien hands, designed to destroy intruders, were now hunting them. The man tightened his grip on his staff. His mind was sharp, his body strong, but he knew this. He was no match for the full strength of the graveyard's machines. His only chance was to stay hidden, to stay moving, and to trust his instincts. Yet even as he pushed forward, something strange happened. A warmth touched his mind. A whisper, soft, gentle, but steady. The girl's thoughts brushed against his own. Do not stop. Danger close. He almost stumbled. He had expected fear, maybe panic, but her presence was calm, almost guiding him. He realized then that she was not only a burden on his back, she was something more. He ducked under a broken arch of stone, moving into a narrow passage filled with shadows. The girl's whisper grew stronger in his head. Left. Safe. He hesitated, but followed. Moments later, red beams of light cut across the space he would have walked if he had gone right. A guardian drone floated past, scanning the ground with cold precision. His breath caught in his chest, but it did not see him. Slowly, he turned his head toward the girl. You knew, he whispered. Her glowing eyes blinked once. That was her answer. The man moved again, guided by her faint signals. Each time danger approached, he felt her fear in his mind, sharp like lightning. Each time he changed his path, he found safety. It was as if her mind stretched beyond her broken body, sensing what he could not see. For the first time in years, he was not alone in the fight for survival. They crossed deeper into the graveyard, weaving between fallen statues and shattered ships. The silence between them was heavy, but it was no longer empty. It was full of unspoken words, a bond formed not by voice, but by thought. At one point, the man stopped to catch his breath. He lowered her carefully against the side of a broken pillar. Her body was light, fragile, yet her eyes burned with strength. He sat beside her, resting his staff across his knees. For a long moment, neither moved. Then he spoke, his voice low. You don't know me, and I don't know you, but you trust me already. Why? Her eyes shimmered. A soft whisper entered his mind. Because you stayed. The word struck him like a blade. He had spent his life in places where no one stayed. Friends, family, even comrades, all lost, all gone. And now, this broken child had said the one thing no one else ever had. He looked away, his jaw tight. I didn't stay for kindness. I stayed because I couldn't walk away. But even as he said it, he knew it wasn't true. Something in her gaze had chained him here. Something about her silence, her suffering, her strength. As he stood again and lifted her onto his back, she whispered once more, You are not alone now. The words echoed in his chest, heavier than the weight of her small body. They moved again, but now the graveyard felt different. The ruins no longer seemed like empty death, but like a test. Each broken monument, each shadow, was another step they faced together. Hours passed. The sun above dipped lower, painting the sky with a deeper red. The machine still hunted, but the man and the girl stayed ahead, slipping through the ruins like shadows themselves. At one point, they reached a high ridge. From there, the man looked out over the endless graveyard. Towers rose like teeth, and the bones of alien giants stretched for miles. He felt the weight of it pressing against his spirit, but then he felt her mind again, steady, calm. Do not fear. And for the first time, he smiled faintly. You speak like someone older than you are. Her eyes blinked. Pain makes me older. The man fell silent. He could not argue with that. As night began to fall, they found shelter inside the hollow ribcage of a giant alien beast. Its bones curved high like the arches of a cathedral. There, he built a small fire, shielding the light with stones. The girl lay beside him, still and quiet, her eyes glowing faintly in the dark. He stared into the flames, his thoughts heavy. She was more than she appeared, more than her family had believed. They had seen her paralysis and called her weak, but he had seen her mind, her strength, and it was greater than any machine. You are not useless, he said softly, not sure if she was awake. You are not weak. Her whisper answered, soft as the crackle of the fire. Then why did they leave me? The man's chest tightened. He had no answer. He wanted to say they were cowards, that they were blind, that they were afraid of what they did not understand. But he only looked at her and said, because they were wrong. The girl's eyes glowed brighter, just for a moment, as if his words had touched something deep inside her. And in the silence of the alien graveyard, Surrounded by death, a bond was born. Not of blood, not of language, but of survival. And the graveyard itself seemed to hold its breath, as if it knew, together, these two souls were no longer prey. They were something more. The night inside the alien graveyard was never fully dark. Strange lights pulsed across the horizon, faint glows from broken machines that refused to die. The fire the man built flickered weakly inside the hollow bones of the beast, casting long shadows across the ground. The girl lay near him, her glowing eyes fixed on the darkness beyond. She did not sleep. She could not. Her mind was sharp, always listening, always sensing. And now her whispers brushed against his thoughts again. They are coming. The man stiffened, his hand closed around the staff lying at his side. He had expected this. The graveyard never allowed intruders to escape so easily. The Guardians had been watching, waiting for the moment when the two of them were most vulnerable. He rose silently, dousing the fire with a sweep of his boot. Smoke hissed in the air, and the warmth faded, leaving only the cold breath of the night. His eyes scanned the shadows, searching for movement. At first there was nothing. But then, he saw them. Red lights glowing like demon eyes. 1, then 2, then 5, then more. Floating between the broken ruins, their shapes sharp and metallic, alien drones awakened fully from their long slumber. Their voices filled the air with mechanical hums, deep and hungry. The girl's fear pulsed through his mind like a cold wave. Hunters, they will not stop. The man's jaw tightened. Then we fight. He lifted her once more, securing her against his back with cloth. Her body was fragile, but her mind was his shield. He gripped his staff, ready. The first drone moved fast, darting between broken stones. Its body was round, covered with jagged spikes, and its arms ended in blades of light. It screeched, a sound like tearing metal, and lunged. The man swung his staff hard, striking the drone's side. Sparks exploded, and the machine spun in the air. But another dropped from above, claws reaching. He rolled to the side, dust rising around him. The girl's whisper came sharp in his mind. "Behind you!" He turned, stabbing his staff backward. The tip jammed into a drone's glowing eye, and the machine shrieked before collapsing into silence. But for everyone he destroyed, 2 more appeared. They crawled across the walls of broken ships. They rose from the ground. They swarmed like wolves around prey. Their red lights painted the ruins in blood. The man's breath grew heavy. His arms ached. Each strike bought them only seconds. He could feel the circle tigs. Cheening, the hunters closing in. Then, without warning, the girl's glowing eyes flared brighter. Her body remained still, but her mind erupted inside his head, louder, sharper, filled with power. "Stop!" The air around them shivered. A pulse of invisible energy spread outward like a storm. The nearest drones froze midair, their red eyes flickering. Sparks burst from their cores, and one by one, they shattered into pieces that rained down onto the ground. The man staggered, nearly falling under the force. He turned his head slightly, trying to see her. "That was you." Her whisper trembled in his mind. I cannot control it." But the drones were not all destroyed. More came, dozens more, swarming through the ruins like a tide. The man lifted his staff again, standing tall even as exhaustion burned through his muscles. "You don't need to control it," he muttered, his voice fierce. "You just need to survive." He fought harder, striking, dodging, pushing forward. The girl's whispers guided him through the chaos. Left, jump, duck. Each warning saved his life by a second, by an inch. Together, they moved like one. But the hunters pressed closer. One drone's blade cut across his arm, leaving a burning wound. He gritted his teeth, refusing to fall. Another slammed into his back, almost knocking the girl loose. But he twisted, smashing it with desperate strength. Blood dripped down his arm, mixing with the dust. His vision blurred, but still he fought. He would not abandon her, not now. Then it happened again. The girl's eyes glowed like suns. Her fear became fire. Her silence became thunder. The air cracked with invisible force. Drones shattered, falling like broken stars. For a moment, the graveyard trembled under her hidden power. The man dropped to one knee, gasping for breath. Around him lay the wreckage of machines, their red eyes extinguished. The silence returned, heavy and dark. But it was not over. From the far side of the ruins, a deeper sound rose, heavy footsteps shaking the ground. A shape loomed in the distance, larger than the others, a guardian not of flesh, not of bone, but of towering metal. Its eyes glowed brighter than fire, its body carved with alien symbols. The girl's whisper shook with dread. "It wakes, the Great One." The man pushed himself to his feet, his staff trembling in his grip. His arm bled, his body ached, but his spirit burned. He looked at the girl's glowing eyes and spoke in a low, steady voice. "Then we face it. Together." The ground shook harder as the great guardian stepped into view, its shadow swallowing the ruins around them. The air grew thick with static, every broken machine humming as if bowing to its master. The girl's breath came sharp, her power pulsing again, but weaker this time. She was drained. The man lifted her higher against his back, standing tall despite the storm ahead. His eyes locked on the towering machine, and his voice carried through the silence. "This graveyard may be yours," he growled, "but she is mine now, and I will not let you take her." The great guardian roared, and the first true battle began. The great guardian stepped forward, its massive body towering above the ruins. Its feet crushed ancient bones and stone as if they were nothing. The ground shook with every movement, and the broken machines scattered across the graveyard seemed to tremble in respect. Its eyes burned with a deep crimson glow. Its chest pulsed with strange energy, alive though its creators were long gone. This was no ordinary hunter drone. This was the king of the graveyard, the machine left behind to protect the dead, to destroy the living. The man gripped his staff tighter, his bloodied arm throbbing with pain. He stood tall, his body weak but his spirit unbroken. On his back, the girl's glowing eyes locked onto the guardian. He felt her fear in his mind, sharp and cold. "We cannot fight it. Too strong." His jaw tightened. "We don't have a choice." The guardian roared, its voice a deep metallic scream that echoed across the endless graveyard. From its arms unfolded massive blades of pure energy, glowing white-hot. Sparks burned the air. With a sudden burst of speed, it charged. The man rolled aside, dust exploding around him as the guardian's blade carved through stone. The shockwave nearly knocked him off his feet. He staggered, clutching the girl tighter. He swung his staff, striking the machine's leg, but it was like hitting a mountain. The blow left only a dent, and the guardian did not even slow. Its giant hands swung, smashing into the ground where he had stood. The impact cracked the earth, sending shards of stone flying. The man gasped, his lungs burning. He was fast, but not fast enough. His strength was fading, and the guardian was relentless. One mistake, 1 second too slow, and both he and the girl would be crushed. On his back, the girl trembled. Her mind brushed his again, stronger now, filled with desperation. "Run, leave me, you will die." He snarled, even as he dodged another swing. "No, I don't leave people behind." Her glowing eyes widened. No one had ever said that to her. No one had ever stayed. Her heart, broken by betrayal, burned with a new fire. The guardian raised its arm high, the blade glowing like a sun. It was ready to end them. The man lifted his staff in defiance, though he knew it would not be enough. Then it happened. The girl's eyes exploded with light, brighter than any star. Her body shook, though still paralyzed, as waves of psychic energy tore from her mind. The air cracked, the ruins trembled, and the guardian froze mid-strike. Invisible hands gripped the massive machine. Its glowing eyes flickered as if something greater than itself had seized control. The man staggered as the force rippled through him, his hair lifting in the storm of energy. The girl's voice screamed inside his mind, no longer a whisper but a thunder. "No more!" The ground split open, shattered drones lifted into the air, spinning violently before exploding into dust. The guardian's blade cracked, sparks spraying into the night. The man shielded his eyes, struggling to breathe in the storm of raw power. He looked at her face, her eyes blazing like suns. She was no weak child, she was no curse, she was power itself. The guardian roared, straining against her force. It slammed its other arm down, shaking the ruins, trying to resist, but the girl's energy only grew stronger. Her body did not move, but her mind stretched beyond limits, tearing at the machine's very core. "You left me, you abandoned me, but I am not weak, I am not broken." The words were not only for the guardian, they were for her family, for the voices that had cast her aside. They were for the universe that had called her useless. Her energy cracked through the guardian's chest. The glowing core pulsed wildly, then burst in a storm of fire and light. The machine collapsed, its massive frame falling into the dust with a final metallic scream. Silence returned, heavy and thick. The ground still smoked from the destruction. The ruins glowed faintly under the red sky. The man stood in the middle of it all, his chest heaving, his staff trembling in his grip. On his back, the girl's glowing eyes dimmed. Her whisper returned, faint, weak. "I cannot hold it." He turned his head slightly, trying to see her face. Her skin was pale, her breath shallow. The power had drained her, nearly broken her. But he smiled faintly, despite the blood on his lips. "You did it. You're not weak. You saved us." Her eyes blinked slowly as if she did not believe him. "But I am paralyzed. Useless. The man shook his head. You are more alive than anyone I've ever met. Your body may be broken, but your spirit, your power, is stronger than theirs, stronger than mine. She was silent, but he felt the warmth of her thoughts, the first spark of Belle. For the first time, she did not see herself as abandoned. She saw herself as chosen. He adjusted her weight on his back, lifting his staff once more. Around them, the graveyard was quiet, the hunters destroyed, the great guardian dead. But he knew more dangers would come. Still, his voice was steady. We walk forward, together. The girl's glowing eyes flickered faintly, and her whisper brushed his mind, soft as a promise. Together. And so they stepped into the smoking ruins, no longer prey, no longer weak. They had awakened something far greater, the bond of man and alien, and the hidden power that could shake worlds. The graveyard was quiet again. Smoke rose from the broken body of the great guardian, its glowing eyes now dark. The man stood among the ruins, his body aching, his arms still bleeding but alive. On his back, the girl's head rested weakly against his shoulder. Her eyes, though dim, still glowed faintly. They had survived, but survival was not victory. The graveyard still stretched endlessly around them, and he knew more dangers would come. Yet something heavier weighed on him now. The questions that had no answers. Why had her family left her? Why abandon a child with such power? He moved slowly across the ruins, climbing over shattered machines and broken stone. The girl was quiet, but her mind still touched his, a soft hum at the edge of his thoughts. Finally, he spoke. Your power saved us. It destroyed that monster. Why would your family abandon you if you had this? Her eyes blinked, and for a long time there was no answer. Then a faint whisper brushed against his mind. They feared me. The man frowned. Feared you? Why? She hesitated. He felt the weight of her memory pressing into him. Images flickered across his thoughts, not his own, but hers. A village of strange alien towers, glowing in pale blue light. Her family's faces, sea, harp and cold, whispers in the dark, words filled with fear. She is cursed. Her mind burns too brightly. She will bring ruin to us. The man's jaw tightened as the memory poured into him. He saw her family turn their backs, their eyes filled not with love but with terror. He saw the moment they carried her to the graveyard, her small body trembling, her glowing eyes wide with confusion. He felt her heart break as they left her among the dead. When the vision ended, the man stood in silence. His chest burned with anger. He had seen cruelty before, but this was different. To fear a child so much that you abandon her to die, it was unforgivable. They were cowards, he said at last, his voice low and hard. They looked at your gift and called it a curse. They couldn't understand it, so they chose to destroy it. The girl's whisper trembled. Maybe they were right. My power. It hurts. It kills. He shook his head fiercely. No, power itself is not evil. It's what you do with it. You saved us. You protected me. That is not a curse. Her glowing eyes blinked slowly, uncertain. He felt her doubt, her guilt, deep and heavy. For so long she had believed their words. For so long she had thought herself broken. But now, walking through the graveyard with the man's steady steps carrying her, a new thought grew in her mind. What if he is right? What if I am more than what they said? As they moved deeper into the ruins, the man noticed something strange. The machines they passed, shattered guardians, broken drones, seemed to react faintly to the girl's presence. Their red lights flickered weakly, not with life but with memory, as if her power had left a mark on them. He realized then that her family had not only feared her, they had feared what she might awaken. He looked back over his shoulder at her. There's more, isn't there? Something they didn't tell you. Her whisper was faint, tired. Yes, I saw it once. A vision, a secret they kept from me. And again she pushed her memory into his mind. He saw flashes of alien council, halls, elders speaking in hushed voices. He heard the words, her power is the echo of the old ones, the dead guardian's answer to her. She is a key, or a weapon. The man stopped walking, his eyes widened. She wasn't just a child with strange gifts, she was connected to the graveyard itself. Her mind, her power was tied to the machines of the past. That's why they left you here, he whispered, not because you were weak, because you were too strong, because they were afraid you'd control what they could not. The girl's eyes glowed brighter, filled with both pain and understanding. For the first time, she saw the truth clearly. Her family had abandoned her not because she was broken, but because she was dangerous to their power. Tears did not fall. Her body could not give them, but her heart ached with the weight of it. The man placed his hand gently over hers, though her fingers did not move. "Listen to me," he said, his voice steady, his eyes fierce. "You are not their curse. You are not their weapon. You are your own. And as long as I breathe, no one will use you. No one will abandon you again." Her whisper trembled, but it carried warmth. "You stay?" He nodded without hesitation. "Until the end." The graveyard wind howled through the ruins, carrying the echoes of the dead, but in that moment, the girl felt something she had never known before. She felt safe, she felt seen, and for the first time since her family left her, she believed she might have a future. But far in the distance, beyond the broken towers, lights moved, shadows shifted. Her family had not forgotten her completely. They had left her to die, but now that her power had awakened, they would come back. Not to save her, but to end her. The man saw the lights too, faint but growing, his grip tightened on his staff. "They're coming," he said grimly. The girl's glowing eyes flickered with him. "It's both fear and fire. Then let them come." The graveyard was no longer silent. Far across the ruins, pale lights moved like torches in the night. Figures advanced through the red mist, tall, graceful, and cold. The girl's family had returned, but they did not come with love. They came with weapons, with soldiers, with fear burning in their eyes. The man stood on the ridge of broken stone, the girl on his back. His body was weak, his arm bandaged with scraps of cloth, but his spirit was iron. He looked at the shadows approaching and knew what they wanted. They wanted her power buried forever. The girl felt it too. Her whisper filled his mind, trembling but strong. "They will kill me. They will kill you too." He gripped his staff tighter, his voice low. "Not while I breathe." The family moved closer. Their leader, her own mother, stepped forward. Her face was carved with fear, not love. Her eyes locked on the girl with something sharper than hate. "You should have died in the graveyard," the mother said, her voice cold as stone. "You are a danger to us all. We cannot let you live." The girl's glowing eyes shimmered with pain. She whispered into the man's mind, soft as broken glass. "She is my mother, but she does not love me." The man's jaw tightened. He looked straight at the alien woman, his voice hard. "You abandoned her. You left her to die. She is not your danger. She is your daughter." The mother raised her hand. Soldiers spread out, weapons glowing, aimed at them. "Step aside, human. She is cursed. If you protect her, you will die with her." The man did not move. His staff dug into the ground, steady as a wall. "Then I die." The girl's heart shook. No one had ever chosen her before. No one had ever stood between her and the world. Her mother's eyes narrowed. "So be it." The soldiers advanced, their weapons humming. The graveyard stirred with the sound of death approaching. The man bent his knees, ready to fight, though he knew the truth. He could not win, not against all of them. On his back, the girl's whisper pressed into his mind, fierce and burning. "I will not let you die for me." Her glowing eyes flared brighter than ever before. The air cracked, energy trembling in waves. The soldiers faltered, their weapons shaking in their hands. Fear spread through them like fire. The girl's voice thundered in his thoughts, no longer weak, no longer small. "If I am a curse, then let this curse save him. If I am a weapon, then let this weapon protect him." The ground split open, light pouring from the cracks. The broken machines of the graveyard stirred, their dead eyes flickering awake. Not with red, but with silver, the same glow as her eyes. The guardians that once hunted her now bent to her will. Her family gasped in terror. The man looked up, his eyes wide, but not with fear, with awe. The girl's power filled the air, storming through the ruins. The machines rose from the dust, surrounding the ridge. Soldiers fired their weapons, beams of light flashing, but the machines blocked every strike. Metal arms swung, shields of energy formed, the graveyard itself defending her. Her mother shouted in rage, "You see, she is cursed. She will destroy us all." But the girl's whisper reached into every mind, not only the man's. It was soft, but it carried across the battlefield like a wave. "I do not want to destroy. I only want to live. I only want to be free." The soldiers hesitated, their weapons lowered. Some stepped back, their fear breaking into shame. They saw not a curse, but a child abandoned by those who should have loved her. The mother screamed, raising her weapon high. But before she could strike, the girl's power wrapped around her, holding her in the air. Her glowing eyes blazed with fury and sorrow. She could end it. With a thought, she could shatter the one who had betrayed her most. The power burned inside her, begging to be unleashed. The man's voice cut through the storm. No. The girl froze. His eyes locked with hers, steady and fierce. If you destroy her, you become what they said you are. Not a curse. Not a weapon. You are more than that. You are hope. Her glowing eyes flickered. The storm of energy trembled, shaking the ruins. Then slowly she lowered her mother to the ground. The weapon fell from the woman's hands, clattering uselessly against the stone. The family stood in silence, staring at the child they had abandoned. Shame burned in their eyes, but they could not speak. They turned and fled into the mist, their fear too heavy to face her power or her mercy. The graveyard grew quiet again. The machines lowered, their glowing eyes dimming once more. The girl's power faded, leaving her breathless and weak. Her head rested against the man's shoulder, her whisper soft as a sigh. I did not kill her. The man nodded, his voice calm. Because you are stronger than them, stronger than me, stronger than the curse they tried to place on you. Her glowing eyes blinked slowly, filled with something new, not fear, not guilt, but hope. The man adjusted her weight on his back, gripping his staff with steady hands. He looked out across the endless graveyard, the ruins bathed in red light. Come, he said, we walk forward. No graveyard will hold us, no family will break us. The girl's whisper brushed his mind one last time, soft and steady, together. And in the graveyard of the forgotten, where the dead had ruled for centuries, two figures walked away, not cursed, not broken, but alive. One man, scarred but unyielding. One child, paralyzed but powerful, bound not by blood, but by choice. And together they carried hope into a universe that had tried to bury it,